What's up, everybody? Welcome to week three of It's Sportsis. We're so happy you're here with us today. My name is Christine. I am your average Joe Schmo when it comes to sports knowledge. I will be here to ask the questions that you guys will have at home.
And I am Sarah, your self-proclaimed sports expert. I am here to answer all of the questions that Christine has and hopefully all of the questions that you have at home. So let's jump right into it, Christine. We are going to preview the
Olympics. And let me just start by saying I was very, very excited for the Olympics last year until they got canceled.
COVID canceled, just like everything else in 2020. It got COVID canceled.
It got COVID canceled. So now that it's coming back up, what better time to bring it up on the podcast and teach you guys everything that you guys need to know? Obviously, there's like a gajillion different things that you guys need to know, but I think we're just going to hit on a few topics.
Yes, I know. I started going down like so many rabbit holes prepping for this podcast episode because there's so many different sports. There's 34 different sporting events. And then those are just the categories. Within those categories, there are like, hundreds of different events under those main categories. So
I'm sure like we could probably have our own podcast dedicated to just talking about Olympics each week.
Okay.
So much.
We should though. Like that should be a filler. Like we should go like just hit like the main ones, I think. And I'm going to get down to this with qualifying and we'll ask you guys a question and we'll follow up on it on Instagram. But there are like the really popular ones, which I think people will want to know about. So they kind of know what they're watching,
right.
Rules for those, how you qualify, things like that. So we're not going to get into that today, but I do want to know from y'all at home, on our Instagram or email us at info@itsportsis and let us know, of the list of Olympic sports that I'm getting ready to rattle off. And maybe you can hit that 1.5 times on your podcast app. And that way I'll run through all of them. But you tell us which ones that you want to hear more about. That way we're not having to go into detail about, okay, I don't want to throw any like sports under the bus, but like judo, rowing, karate.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was looking at that list and I'm like, the hell is judo? I can confidently say I've never heard of judo. I don't know what it is.
I think it's like it's fighting. It's some sort of like fighting, like karate.
Also, before we jump into things, I also want to bring up that whoever went to Apple Podcasts and tried to find us and give us a review, you guys are the real MVPs.
Yes,
you guys are the reason that we are so successful in this podcast business thing that we're trying to do, because without your reviews, we wouldn't really get anywhere. So we love you guys, and hopefully Apple Podcasts will now be cooperating with us.
Yeah, I checked today, which you guys know we record on Tuesdays. Today's Tuesday, May 25th. Actually, I checked last night, so I should check again today. But my husband, being the true fan that he is, had not subscribed or reviewed us yet. And so I was like, oh, perfect, Travis. I know. Perfect, Travis. You are the perfect person to like go on and search in your Apple podcast to see if we come up. Well, we didn't come up. So I'm going to keep checking every single day, and then I will update you guys on the Instagram story and let you know, but hopefully we'll have some good news tomorrow or even Thursday once we push our new episode live.
Definitely. So jumping into the Olympics now, Sarah. So let's just kind of go over briefly, what is the Olympics?
Yeah. So I Googled this, and this is the official definition. It's the Olympic Games, as they are called. So the Olympics are short for the Olympic Games, are an international sports festival held every 4 years. And the ultimate goals are to cultivate human beings through sport and contribute to world peace. World peace.
Peace. You added a T at the end there.
I think because I was trying.
Peace. If you were in a beauty pageant, you would fail and become in last place.
World peace. Yes. It
reminds me of Miss Congeniality.
World peace. Yeah. To contribute to world peace. So there's the summer games and there's the winter games. Obviously in July, which is when the Tokyo games are, it is a summer game. So the summer games are every 4 years. So it's on the, let's say 20. So we'll have another Olympics again in 2024. And then another Olympics again in 2028. And then the winter Olympics are in those off years, those in between years, right? So the Winter Olympics will be held in 2022 and 2026 and 2030 and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's why we all get so excited for the Olympics, because we only get to watch them every 4 years. And to be honest, Summer Olympics is definitely my favorite.
It is. Actually, I don't know. I really get into
Winter Olympics too.
I just love any sort of competition I get really into. And I love that it's literally nonstop around the clock. Like they have NBC is covering it and they'll be covering it again. And you can watch it like literally anywhere. So they have the Peacock app, which is like their version of like Hulu Live, right? Or like Sling TV or Apple TV, whatever. It's their streaming service. So you can watch it on the Peacock app on your phone. You can watch it on your local NBC affiliate channel on the TV. You can watch it on NBCOlympics.com and the NBC Sports app. So literally you can watch it like around the clock on your phone, on the TV, on your computer, like wherever you want to watch it. And there's always something competitive to watch, which I love.
Olympics anywhere and everywhere. So let's like not roll down the list of all the sports that are being played in the Summer Olympics, but like to name a few, I know equestrian's in there, tennis, volleyball, golf, basketball. Is swimming on there?
Yes, aquatics. So aquatics is made up of diving, swimming, synchronized swimming, and water polo.
I like the diving. The diving's always really fun to watch.
Yes. And then there's one category that I actually had to Google because I was like, okay, so it's labeled as this, and it says that there are 48 different events under this one category, but I don't know what the category was because it was so broad. It's called athletics, which I know. Do you know what that is? Nice little trivia.
No.
It's all of the track and field.
Oh. So, but to be honest, I thought that all the sports were athletics.
Yes, they are, but I don't know why track and field
they get the name athletics.
Yes, they just didn't put track and field. I don't know why, but I mean, it's literally like the pole vaulting, the relays, the individual sports, the marathons, like literally like the, I think triathlon is its own. Yeah, it is. Triathlon is its own category. So the triathlon is not underneath of athletics, but athletics is all the track and field. So, okay. Like I said, I'm going to roll through all of them, you guys, but I'm going to say them as quickly as possible. Okay. So we've got aquatics, which is all the swimming, archery, which is the bow and arrow, athletics, which is all the track and field, badminton, which that's interesting. I mean, have you ever seen competitive badminton?
No, but I would like to.
I would like to too. You guys, that's the thing with like the birdie. It's like the little tiny rackets usually set up like a little net in your front yard and you like hit it back and forth. There's baseball, softball, basketball, boxing, canoeing, cycling, equestrian fencing, which is with the swords, field hockey, football, which is actually soccer, not football.
Fencing always reminds me of The Parent Trap.
On God. Hi-ya!
Okay, that's karate.
Yeah. So they wear
which is also on there.
What?
Karate, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Karate is also on there, but let's go back up. Okay. So there's fencing, field hockey, football, which is named football, but it's actually soccer, obviously football, whatever. Yep. Golf, gymnastics, handball, which I know way too much about.
Because we have a group of friends, including Sarah's husband, Travis, who actually tried out for the team.
You guys.
For the Olympic team, you guys.
My husband went. This just is like the epitome of who Travis is as a human being. And I think I've told you guys, but he did tear his ACL, his MCL, and his meniscus playing Gaelic football.
Yeah, his first and only time playing Gaelic football. But is it handball like basketball? You just don't dribble?
No. Wait. I don't know the rules, but
all right.
You play in indoor soccer cleats, I think. And yes, it's on like a basketball court. And I think you can run. You don't kick it.
No, but like I thought it was like basketball where you carry it. You throw it to each other.
Yeah, you throw it to each other, but the ball is smaller.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know all the rules, but yes, my husband tried out for the Olympic team. They asked him to join some team in Auburn, which is where I think they train. And then he was going to be traveling with it. And I'm like, we can't move to Auburn, Alabama.
That's not happening. Anyway.
That can't happen. You also don't need to be traveling to Auburn, Alabama every day just to practice. So handball was a little
drive.
Yeah, handball was a little out of the equation for us, but he did go and play. So there's handball, then there's judo, which is
whatever that is.
Then there's karate, hi-ya. And then there's modern pentathlon.
Literally no clue what that is either.
I don't know what pentathlon is, but I can Google it and I'll figure it out in a minute.
I'm guessing penta, 5, thon, marathon, a 5-mile marathon.
No, I think it's a modern pentathlon. So I think it's like 5 events on track and field. So like maybe they do, instead of like the decathlon, they do the pentathlon. And so they do like 5 different events on the track and field. So they'll do like shot put and javelin and high jump and
pole vaulting. It's fencing, freestyle swimming, equestrian, show jumping, and a final combined event of pistol shooting.
What? Wow. That's
a lot.
Say those again.
Okay, the modern pentathlon. The modern pentathlon is an Olympic sport that comprises 5 different events: fencing, freestyle swimming, equestrian show jumping, and a final combined event of pistol shooting and cross-country running.
Oh my, these people are just jacks of all freaking trades.
That sounds fun.
That's crazy. So they ride horses, they swim, they shoot, they run.
Yep. And did you say, and they fence?
And they fence. They are sword. Hi-ya!
How many times are we going to say, hi-ya?
Yeah.
I think we're up to about 5 at this point.
It's so fun.
Let's keep them going. All right. So what's after the
modern pentathlon? Okay. So it's rowing, right? So those are all the people and they're sitting in those long elongated boats and they are rowing. Yeah. Okay. Then there's rugby sevens, which I don't know what sevens is, but rugby we'll learn about in a couple of weeks. We're going to have somebody who plays on a professional rugby team on the show, you guys, and teach us everything we need to know about rugby. But I think you know the basics, but we'll tell you again in a couple of weeks. There's sailing on a sailboat. There's shooting with guns, pow, pow. There's skateboarding, which is no, wait, that's surfing. Skateboarding.
That could be skateboarding too.
Yeah. Bruh. And then there's sports climbing, which is like rock climbing, boulder climbing, like all those different things. Then there's surfing,
Yeah.
And then there's table tennis, also known as ping pong, taekwondo, which hiya again. Christine, I had my black belt.
No, you didn't.
In taekwondo, yes, I did.
Did you really? I quit at my blue belt because actually I didn't get my blue belt. I was at my green belt and they wouldn't give me my blue belt. So
Why?
I was like, fine. Oh no, I guess that makes me a quitter. I'm embarrassed now.
No, that's okay.
I was 6.
I was 6. Yeah, I obviously was very good at taekwondo because I'm overly aggressive. And as a child, I was even more so. And so the breaking the boards thing, the sparring, I will never forget our grandma was sitting next to, so they had sparring was an event, right? And I don't even remember how old I was. I think I did it until I was like 10. But sparring was an event and I was up against this guy and I was like,
sparring.
So like you're in all of your like there's like pads. You wear like a vest and a helmet and a mouth guard. And like you literally just like punch and kick each other. That's it.
Well, if that wasn't a sport made specifically for Sarah as a child, I don't know what it is.
Oh my God, there's a golden retriever puppy right outside the window.
That's cute. I have a cat that keeps moving my camera and she keeps rubbing up against my computer. If you notice my computer moving, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's because my cat keeps rubbing up against it.
Beans. Okay. Anyway, so I was up against this kid and I don't know how old I was and I don't even remember where we were, but all I remember is there was a playground outside and mom said that we could play on the playground for 30 minutes after we were done with the Taekwondo event, right? So I was like, okay, well, if I beat this guy up, I can get done faster. So he literally was like, they like hold their hand out in front of you and then they go like this, like, let go. And here you go. And I was like,
Mom, I'm ready to go play.
Pop, 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 pop. And grandma said the lady sitting next to her was like, wow, wouldn't want to catch her in a dark alley.
You're right. You wouldn't.
You wouldn't. But grandma said she looked at her and she said, that's my granddaughter.
Oh,
Grandma. So anyways, I was very good at Taekwondo, but I think it's a lot of like forms too. Remember, like they had like the choreographed like forms that you would do. So it wasn't just like about breaking boards and sparring, but like it was like
following
forms.
It was like following a routine too, like a dance routine. This way, and then this way, and then like kicking
and So that anyway, moving on. Tennis, triathlon, which I am a triathlete too.
You can officially say that. I give that to you. It's pretty cool.
Triathlon, but like the full triathlon is a mile swim, maybe even a 2-mile swim. I think like a 52-mile bike ride and a 26-mile run. Like it's like insane. The triathlon is. Look up what the Olympic triathlon is, like the length of each thing.
Sounds miserable.
So while you're looking that up, I'll move on. We've got volleyball, weightlifting, and wrestling. So there were new sports that were added for the 2020/2021 Olympics, but there's also sports that were brought back. So among those, skateboarding is new, sport climbing is new, surfing is new, karate, baseball, and softball were apparently just like risen from the grave. I guess they took a little break and now they're back.
Skateboarding will be fun to watch.
Yeah. So that's like a brand new one. Same with sport climbing and surfing. So fun.
That sounds like fun. So when is it?
So it is Friday, July 23rd through Sunday, August 8th. So the torch ceremony, which is where you'll see like all of the countries, they come out with all of their gear on and they're holding their flag. And then there's one person that's holding the torch. That's on July 23rd. And then you literally have nothing but nonstop sports for like 2.5 weeks from like the 24th through August 8th.
It's seriously the best. And like you guys, these people that train for the Olympics, like it is their full-time job. So you can only imagine when COVID canceled the Olympics last year, we had some seriously upset athletes because they put all this time, they were finally ready. And then they can't play anymore. Or they can't compete anymore, I should say.
Yeah. The Olympics took a break in COVID City and now it's coming back.
So how do they qualify then for the Olympics?
So this is going back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, in that I started going down so many rabbit holes prepping for this podcast, but unless you guys want to sit here and listen to me talk for 8 hours, like there's no way to describe not just qualifying, but also all of the rules for all 34 sports that are in the Olympics, because
each one of them has different qualifications.
That's correct. So, there's, like surfing, for example, I was like, oh, it's a new sport this year. I bet their qualifying will be simple. I literally watched like a 2-minute video and I was like cross-eyed by the end of it. And I was like, I don't even know what to type. So it's very confusing, but
it's also very interesting. I feel like that could be its own podcast episode.
Each like major sporting event in the Olympics could for sure be its own episode. Y'all just need to tell us which ones you want to hear more about. So we'll do a poll on the story, and I don't know how we're going to do it because 34 sports on the story is going to be a lot, but what we want to know from you guys is which one do you want to know more about? So like what sports do you want to know the rules about? And then obviously how you qualify, who the biggest athletes are going to be to look out for. That way you can enjoy a sport you otherwise wouldn't watch at the Olympics, or maybe know more about a sport you already do watch. So you guys just let us know which ones you want to watch, which ones you want to pay closer attention to. And we'll definitely do more episodes on the Olympics with like individual sports as the headliner.
For shizzle.
Yeah.
So it's being it's being held in Tokyo, Japan, right?
Yeah. So it's being held in Tokyo, Japan, so here is one of the coolest things that I found out today. So I told you guys the torch it's like the symbol of the Olympics, right? So you've got the 5 rings and the torch. That is the Olympic rings and the torch. So typically when you have a torch ceremony, the torch is, I guess, like lit at the beginning of the Olympics, and it's kept lit till the end of the Olympics. And then it's like up to the next year's or the next Olympics to do their own torch ceremony and get it from wherever they want to get it. Right. So what's kind of cool about this year is the torch has been lit since March 12th of 2020, where it was lit in Greece, and then they traveled it to Japan, still lit.
No kidding.
Yes. Isn't that cool? So it was supposed to be like they were supposed to go on tour with the torch, but it was delayed because of COVID. So
how in the world do they keep it lit for so long?
In a museum.
Doesn't it have a wick?
No, I think it's got gas or something. I honestly don't know the science behind it. We should get Alex on here to teach us all about how that fire stays lit, but they've kept it lit.
I'm curious.
I know it's been in a museum in Fukuyama, which is in Japan. And then they're starting their torch tour. They already started their torch tour. It started on March 25th. They're going to go through all the different provinces of Japan, and then it will end in Tokyo.
How fun.
For the torch ceremony on July 23rd. I had to look for the date again.
Tokyo has kind of always been a place I would want to go. Obviously, going to the Olympics would be high up on my bucket list. So
I really wanted to go to Rio, and whenever it was at Brazil.
Rio, I follow. So flights to Rio right now are actually really cheap. And the only reason I know that is because I'm part of this like Scotch cheap flight thing that I became a member of. And I just got a notification that flights to Rio are really inexpensive, and to Greece, and Greece is allowing people back in.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Christine just booked us flights to Jackson Hole. Where are we going?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I keep wanting to say Jackson Hole, Mississippi, but that's not right.
No, we're going to Wyoming, and it's going to be freaking amazing. I'm so excited. We're going in October.
Yeah. And you guys go back to our Kentucky Derby episodes. You can hear how absolutely terrified of horses I am. And Christine and my mom are already talking about going on a trail ride. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hit the spa that day. Y'all go enjoy yourselves. I'm not going on a trail ride with a horse that I've never met before in my entire life. That sounds miserable and like a lot of chafing.
It's going to be so much fun, and it's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah, we shall see.
That was pretty much everything that we wanted to cover with the Olympics, but there are a few tidbits that we also want to bring up that happened recently in the sports world that are super important. Number one being Phil Mickelson. So I always think of Grandma Sarah whenever I watch Phil, because Grandma loved Phil Mickelson, and he is 50 years old, which he looks great. Like, he doesn't even look like he's aging.
He looks older. He looked older in his late 30s than he does now.
I think that's what it is, because like you look at him and you're like, he looks no different. I guess you're just kind of used to him looking like an older man.
He literally looked older. Yes. In his late 30s, he's lost weight. He looks great. He looks wonderful.
Well, his mental game is definitely there too, because he just won the PGA Tour that was at Kiowa Island this past weekend, and he made history because he became the oldest player to ever win a major championship on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, so it was the PGA Championship. You just said he won the PGA Tour. He didn't win the PGA Tour, but basically did, because he won the PGA Championship. But yes, he was the oldest player to ever win a major championship. Like, how crazy is that? And it was in Kiowa, which I just love dropping bombs that's where we grew up going to the beach.
I know we would always bring, my parents would always allow us to bring one friend each. So I don't know how they did that, but they had 8 kids in one house.
One time I brought twins. Remember, Michelle and Stacy were my best friends. So I brought 2. So we had 9 kids.
Funny story. Kiowa Island is the very first place I ever drank a beer for the very first time. And it was a hot 80-degree Bud Light that sat in Lee Red's car for at least like 3 weeks.
Kiowa was the first time I drank too. And it was also with Lee Red.
Lee?
Lee Red, we love you so much. Okay, so next, Phil Mickelson is obviously a boss dude, but Simone Biles is,
a boss.
Total boss. That's right. So she performed a new move at the US Classic this past weekend called I don't know if I'm going to say this right, the Yurchenko double pike. And she is the first female gymnast to ever attempt the move in competition. And naturally, she totally crushed it.
She made it look so easy. Like, it's kind of one of those moves where you're like, oh,
Is
her
it that
body,
big of a deal? Like she doesn't make it look like it's that big of a deal is what you're trying to say.
yes, her body was super straight and she did 2 flips. So like really when you think about it, that actually sounds really hard. She's doing a pencil and then just like flips and somehow makes it look flawless and effortless.
Oh, so her whole body's straight? Like, is she in a pencil or is she like hugging her straight legs?
Okay, so it's actually kind of a combination of both. Cause like she looks like she's in a pencil, but she is a little bit tucked under her thigh. So her hands aren't like straight next to her, but let me just show you.
I was going to say, because I thought she was like holding her legs, but then I'm like, maybe she was in a straight line. So she's like, okay, so her body is not like full straight, you guys, but her legs are straight. And it's like
she's
hands,
like wrapping her hands underneath her hamstring.
but her body is not like curled up to her legs. Like
No.
she's still like separated from them enough that I think it's like a double pike. So she, like Christine said, she makes it look so easy. You're literally just like, is it that big of a deal? But it literally is she's the first female gymnast to ever attempt it in a competition.
She's so good.
She's amazing. I can't wait to watch her at the Olympics.
She's been a rock star from like the second that she came out. It's like, I feel like she's been participating in the Olympics for a long time now. At least it seems like that. But then again, there's 4 years in between each one.
Right.
But she's like the Michael Phelps of gymnastics.
I know. She's amazing. And last but not least, Christine, the French Open is this weekend. It starts on May 30th. And just a few things that you need to know. So it's in Paris, France at Roland Garros.
What is the French Open?
It's a tennis. Oh yeah. Thank you for saying that. It's a tennis match, but it's one of the Grand Slams. So there's 4 Grand Slam competitions in tennis. There's the Australian Open, the French Open, the US Open, and Wimbledon. And so the French Open is one of the 4, but it's the only one that is played on clay. So it's not played on like your typical grass court. It's got that like orange, like dusty clay stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are kind of the things that you need to know, but who to look out for is Nadal. So Nadal and Roger F have the same record of 20 Grand Slam single titles. Wow. And if he wins the French Open this year, Nadal, he'll have 21 and he'll surpass Roger Federer.
Okay. So those are the 2 people to watch then.
I don't think that.
Are they playing each other? He's decided not to participate in the French Open.
Okay.
So if Nadal wins, then he will surpass Roger for
Federer.
Claiming the most Grand Slam single titles.
That's correct. So he's won. He would have, if he wins the French Open this year, he won 21 of the 4. Yes. And Roger Federer is not playing in the French Open. So if Nadal wins, then like I said, I'm sure we'll see them kind of go back and forth because Federer is still playing. But for now, Nadal would be ahead of Roger Federer with the most Grand Slam single titles. So
got it. And it's being played in Paris, France. So we already say that?
Yeah, we already said that.
All right. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of It's Sports Is. You guys are the best. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or really anywhere that you find your podcasts. Subscribe to our podcast, but also follow us on Instagram and our YouTube channel. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hiya!